and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about advocating for yourself in the doctor's office when discussing the Fertility Awareness Method. A lot of doctors aren't aware of the Fertility Awareness Method because they're not properly trained in it. And if you don't know something, why would you recommend it to your patients? If you haven't been trained in it and you haven't got the expertise, then I get it. That's why they're not showing their patients the Fertility Awareness Method, and they're not recommending it because they don't understand how the method works and how it's actually been studied. And I did a video on this last week. If you want to check it out, you can do so here, where I talk about how effective is the Fertility Awareness Method and what the percentage rate is. But if you don't have enough knowledge and expertise in an area, then I understand why you wouldn't tell someone that's the best option for them. Just like I'm not a medical doctor and I can't give you any further health diagnosis. All I am trained in is to teach you to chart your cycles and how you can use that as a natural birth control. The other reason why they're not recommending the Fertility Awareness Method is because your appointment time is only a really short 15 minutes that you get. So you don't have enough time to learn fertility awareness in 15 minutes. In fact, if you want to learn from an instructor, you usually will be learning for at least a minimum of 3 cycles over 3 months. I think it's definitely heading in that direction, although it is going to take some time, and hopefully in a couple of years we will see more doctors on board. But because of this, I hear so many stories of people that have learned to chart and they've gone to see their doctor and told them what birth control they're on, to only be told that it's not reliable, that they shouldn't be doing it, they will easily fall pregnant, and they will put so much fear in their patients that's completely unnecessary. I have seen the unnecessary fear that doctors put into people, especially when they come to work with me and question if this is going to be reliable because their doctor told them it isn't. Now, I'm not telling you to go against what your doctor says. Obviously, there is a line drawn that your doctor is there to advocate for you and your doctor should have your best interest. But I think that more conversations need to happen with doctors about the Fertility Awareness Method, because in their long training to become a medical doctor, they only get one short lecture about it. And I also personally have been affected by this, so I'm going to share my story with you so that way you know that you're not alone and that you're not the only person that this has happened to. So about 3 to 4 years ago, I had really bad stomach pain. I had really bad stomach pain on my right side where the liver was, and I was taking a greens powder. At the time, I didn't know that that was the reason why it was causing me grief, and turns out that I think I might be allergic to some ingredient in it. I haven't been tested for it, but I did email the person that created the product and they did say that I could be allergic to the barley or the wheat in the greens powder, and there is some greens powders that I've trialed that give me the stomach pain on the right side, or I should say on the liver. It's literally right under the rib cage there. I went to the doctor to investigate the pain because I was eating healthy, I was exercising, I was doing all the right things, but I didn't know why I was getting this pain. So I go to the doctor to explain what happened, and he runs through a series of questions to ask me about my diet, what's been happening. He was saying that it's probably because of a stomach ulcer. At the time, I was eating strict keto only, so that could also have been the cause. But he did ask me about my birth control, and I said no, I'm not. And he was like, oh well, you should be on birth control, meaning hormonal birth control. And I said, actually, I chart my cycles, I use fertility awareness. And he actually stopped what he was doing and turned from the computer and was like, that's not a reliable method, you know that. And I was like, well, I've been doing it for about 2 years now and I haven't gotten pregnant. And I sat there quietly and I waited for him to finish speaking and explaining all the reasons why this method doesn't work, and what I like to say, that he basically bashed it. He was only speaking very negatively about the method, and because I didn't say anything, he said, oh, why don't you get the copper IUD? And I was like, that's even worse, why would you recommend that? And he was like, why would you, he couldn't understand why I didn't want to get the copper IUD. And I said, why would I want to put a foreign object inside my body that is made out of copper, which is toxic? And I can't even count how much stories I've heard about women that get a lot of pain and bleeding while they've got the copper IUD. So even though it's not releasing the hormone, it's still providing this sterile, acidic environment that isn't really good for the uterus. He wasn't impressed and neither was I. And at the end of the conversation, he summed up what his diagnosis was about the stomach pain. And as I was walking out the door, he says to me, well, I'll see you in about a year's time when you're pregnant, meaning that I was going to come and do my blood test and follow up appointments there. And I was like, okay, see ya, bye. Never saw him again after that. And hello, Mr. Doctor, if you're watching, he's probably not, but if you are, here I am 5 years later, haven't got pregnant, haven't even got a pregnancy scare because I chart my cycles, so I know exactly what's happening and I know why my ovulation is delayed, and I can see that. And just to let you know that in the end, I forgot to take the greens powder one day and realized that I didn't get the pain. So I was like, okay, maybe let me take it the next day. Yep, got the pain. Then the day after, I stopped taking it and the pain wasn't there. So I stopped taking it and I never got the pain. I was even booked to get a colonoscopy and an upper GI tract colonoscopy. I can't remember what the top part is called. And I had it booked in, and because I didn't have private health, I was going to be paying for it up front and I was prepared to pay it. And I even got given all the liquids that you had to drink to flush your system out to see what was happening, but I cancelled everything and I ended up throwing the packet in the bin. I asked them if they wanted it back because I was going to use it, and they said no, don't worry. Obviously they didn't want to take it back just in case. So that's what happened. But as a result of that, I understand that my doctor had to ask me about my birth control choice, and he probably was ruling out pregnancy, although I had to break the news to him and tell him that, well, actually no, I'm not pregnant and it's not possible. Actually, that reminds me of another time when I had to go to hospital for something else, when I had dizzy spells and they thought that I was pregnant, but I actually had my period. And I was like, I don't understand how else to explain to you that I am bleeding because I am shedding my uterine lining because I confirmed ovulation, so there's no way I could be pregnant. But of course she set me off with a little urine sample to go and give to her. So I've got a lot of stories that I have accumulated or gone through, I should say, dealing with the medical practitioners and people in that industry. I really wish that I had this information when I was first starting out, because it would have made me feel a lot better. But I think the person I am, I'm determined to do whatever I can if I'm set in my ways with the decision that I've made. So I guess it's probably a blessing in disguise that I was the type of person that crossed paths with them at the time to challenge them, because who knows, maybe they went off and did their own research. But I wish that I was able to have a better conversation with my doctor at the time, which is why I want to be able to share this information with you to help you have better conversations with your doctor. Okay, so the first thing to do when you are advocating for yourself in the doctor's office, we would take a step back actually, which could probably be step 0, is to call up and book an extended appointment time. Because like I said before, that you only get a short 15-minute window of appointment time, as most practices are quite busy. So what I would do is call up and ask for a double appointment, so that way you have more time to discuss things with your doctor. The second thing to do is make sure that if you are taking medications, you have it written down and you have the reasons why you're taking it. Because not only is your doctor going to ask you what birth control you're on, they probably will be asking you other medications. So I like to be prepared. Even if you are taking a multivitamin, just have it written down on a piece of paper. Maybe have your reason why. You don't have to show them. You can tell them, look, I've written this down because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I even have notes here, so I remember what to tell you. But in saying that, make sure you write the reason as well, because it's important to have it there. And by writing it down, you will remember it. Because sometimes we go into the doctor's office and we feel intimidated and overwhelmed. So if your response is to shut down, then that's what you'll do, and then you won't explain yourself properly. Or you'll walk away and you feel like that you didn't explain yourself as well as you wished you had. The third thing is to bring a support person if you'd like. This could be anyone: your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your best friend, your partner, your husband, your wife. This support person that you bring along doesn't have to be involved in the consultation. They can sit behind you or to the side. They don't need to be involved whatsoever, as long as they're there to listen to the conversation, so that when you walk away and said, oh, I felt this, or I felt like I was intimidated, or I felt like I wasn't heard, at least you have a support person there to say, yes, I also saw that too. I saw the doctor was manipulating you or gaslighting you into taking hormonal birth control. It's as if you have another witness in the room with you. And also, if the doctor knows that you're not alone, they're also more inclined to listen to you, knowing that they have other ears and eyes on them as well. So they have to be careful in what they say. And the fourth thing is, if they are telling you what hormonal birth control to take and really imposing their opinion onto you, you can say something like, thank you very much for sharing your information with me, but I'd love to show you my charts and I can explain to you my fertile window, and I'd really want you to know that I'm only really able to get pregnant from 5 to 7 days in my cycle, but my fertile window is usually about 12 to 14 days. So ask them if you can explain your chart to them and show them, because if one, they let you explain it to them, then it shows them that they actually care and that they actually want to know. And second of all, then maybe you can educate them on charting, and that you can explain that, well, hang on a minute, I'm one of the people that actually use this method and I'm not falling pregnant. And if they allow you to continue, you can say something along the lines of, this method is scientifically studied and it has a lot of data to back it up. Would you like me to share the studies with you? And that's whether if you want to print them out and bring them along so you can leave a copy with them, or you can share the URL link with them. So I've also put the study down below so you can have a look and share it with your doctor if you wish. And then you can explain to them your fertile window and say that I know when I am fertile, so I know to abstain completely from any unprotected intercourse during this time, so that way I don't fall pregnant. And then if you have been charting for a while, explain to them how many months or how many years it's been. You might need to do the educating, and that's okay, because if they are open and willing to learn, it will show you a lot about their character, and if that's a doctor that you want to continue working with in the future for your health as well. The fifth point that I would say is, look, I understand your point of view and we have some differences, so can we agree to disagree, basically. You don't have to agree with them and they don't have to agree with you. If your doctor is shoving their opinion down your throat and telling you that you must be on hormonal birth control as it's the absolute only solution for you not to get pregnant, then you can say, look, thank you for giving me all this information. I would like to take some time to process it before I decide to make the choice. Let me go home and have a read of the research and look it up. And if I would like to get a prescription for hormonal birth control, then I will make an appointment and return. And guess what? You don't actually have to return. That's the best thing, is that you can change your mind and you don't have to call them and say, oh, look, sir, I won't be coming in because I've decided not to. They see so many patients day in and day out. They're not going to be keeping tabs on you. Maybe in the back of their mind, they'll think, oh, I wonder where Jess is. I wonder how come she hasn't come back. Maybe she's still charting. Oh, maybe I will see her when she's pregnant. You don't have to return if you don't want to. That's the bottom line. And then find a doctor that is going to advocate for you and your health. You might need to shop around for some doctors, and that's fine. If this is important to you and you want to have your doctor on board, then you will do what you can to find the doctor that's going to be the right choice for you, and that you will feel comfortable and they will feel comfortable with your choices. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. Or if you don't want to find a doctor and just leave it, then trust your gut instinct. Trust that gut, because it's really important. If you're on hormonal birth control, then it's going to shut down that connection with yourself. If you do need recommendations on some health practitioners such as naturopaths or Chinese medicine doctors or even functional medicine doctors, then send me a DM at Charting with Jess and I'd be more than happy to share with you my recommendations. As once again, I'm not a medical practitioner, but I do have a small team that I do refer people onto, or that they do need further testing or investigation, as we can see there is a slight hormonal imbalance from their charts. And my final point that I would like to make is that if you do decide to chart your cycles, it's absolutely no one's business who you tell. I cannot stress that enough. I feel like too many people are going and telling their mother or their sister, their best friend or their aunt that they're charting their cycles. And yes, I know you're so excited that you found something that's non-hormonal and it actually works and you believe in it, and then you go and tell the people that you love and they care about you and you care about them, and then they tell you that you're irresponsible, it's dangerous, it's risky. And this kind of thing really breaks my heart, that when people come back to me and they're like, oh, my mum said I shouldn't be doing it, it's not worth it, it's really risky. And I just say, is it any of their business what you do with your life? Is it any of their business what you choose to use as your birth control method? Because I really don't think so. You are your own person, so you know what's best for you. Fair enough, they can tell you their opinions, they can explain to you their side, but do you really need to take on board what they say and follow through? I don't think so. And yes, I know that it is hard to break free from that, especially with other things that they might be pressuring you to do, depending on how you've grown up or what your culture is. I also learned learned this when I started telling people that I was charting, and they were like, what is this? That's weird. Oh, that's the rhythm method. That's what my grandmother used to use. And no, this is not the rhythm method. And if you want to educate them, you can. If you've got the emotional labor to explain to them how the method works, then go right ahead. Otherwise, the other thing is you actually don't need to explain to them either. You don't need to tell them the study. You don't need to tell them the statistics. You don't need to explain how well the method works. I mean, hey, if you want to point them in my direction, I'm all for having really good, open, healthy discussion about charting and the benefit, as well as how effective the method is, if you want to load that conversation off to me. But in saying that, you don't need to explain to them. You are not obligated to tell anyone what your contraceptive choices are. And the other thing that really breaks my heart is that when people tell me that they can't chart their cycles because their partner won't let them. I'm sorry, but I don't know why you're asking your partner if you can do this. I know that the two of you coming together can make a baby, but I think that the other person needs to respect your decision and your choices. And I would think that they would want to be more involved. If they're not sure about how effective the method is, then they really need to be involved. And I have taught some couples previously as their partner wanted to attend because they want to be aware as well what's going on, because you need to communicate to them when you are fertile and what that means when you're not fertile. Is it okay? Is it not okay? That communication does need to happen, but I really think that it's not their decision if you do decide to chart your cycles, but I do think that they should be able to support you as well in your decision. So if you want to have some really great, healthy and professional conversations about advocating for yourself, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Charting with Jess. So I'd like to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you really liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and if you need to share it with someone, then click that share button, share it with your friends or family if they need help as well. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that way you know when future videos are posted. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.